has been a challenge. But what I want to do is create focus groups within our community, and when and if and when we feel comfortable, right, then we can invite people in that represent the COCO, the community, or the compliance officer and community liaison, and they act as a community voice when they go to join.
Compliance officer does not have nothing to do with law enforcement. That's just the name of the title of the person that sits on the board that helps them with their oversight.
Thank you, Teresa. She knows more than I do, clearly. Oh yeah, no, not at all. They've been contracted. They've got a $5.75 million contract for the next either 3 or 5 years. I'm a volunteer, so one of the things that I'd like to do is to create focus groups, and my attitude is we ought to decide, you all ought to decide how you want to run it. I'm totally not, you know, I come from the Reagan era. I don't know if any of you remember the trickle-down policy. All right, total BS. We all knew it back then. We still know it now. So I like to think from the ground up. So if anybody wants to do that, the next meeting is May 14th. If you want to come and chat for 180 seconds, you're more than welcome to. But it's at the Methodist Church on 80th off of 82nd, right off of I-84. You can go to www.cocl-coab.org. But real quick, I just want to talk about the Kendra James killing. I've been in the field for a little bit talking to people in the community and finding out very interesting information, and a lot more information than what's on this little flyer. Enough people have said that they want a reinvestigation of the Kendra James killing. So number one, like Teresa said, she was not the driver during a traffic stop. And the Kendra James killing was cleared because the officer McCollister, used the Garner ruling, which is Garner versus Tennessee, 1985, which is, I was in fear of my life, so therefore I could use whatever force I deem necessary, and it's highly dubious at best. Furthermore, we're not really sure what really happened in terms of the shooting, because some of the witnesses said that they saw Officer Bean shooting at the front of the car, but Officer McCollister said he was on top of the car, and there's even more than that. But mostly it's about use of excessive force, and never mind the Keaton Otis killing too. But anyway, I encourage you all to please come talk to me, and if you want to get talking, I'm here. I'm available. My name is Pete.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and yeah, I want to bring it back to Kendra. I am very emotionally disturbed by Kendra's murder in cold blood, and I trust that a lot of people here are too. And I want to encourage you all that when you go and you talk about this day with other people, that if you come up against people that seem like they're not very affected because violence is so normalized, especially when it's against black bodies, black women's bodies, that they don't necessarily have to have a bleeding heart and care about all of these issues, but ask them if they're okay with living in a world where if the police really wanted to, they could snatch them up out of a car and kill them too. And if they would be okay with their family fighting for justice for them and for their family to be villainized and judged, and that maybe 12 years later someone could be talking about them like that, that maybe violence will still be so dominant and prominent that they wouldn't care about their lives being taken. And just ask them to really think about it. This is the ways in which our rights can be violated by police is something that we really should be thinking about and investigating and deciding amongst ourselves whether or not that's really a world that we want to live in. And if their answer is no, and it should be no, I want you to encourage them to stand in solidarity with people that are fighting for a different world, because there's so much cynicism that tells us that we can't do anything about this, that we have to resort to community oversight boards and VI love you, but you know, I think that's bullshit. But this is the world we live in, that this seems like it's our only recourse, that we have to work within this really disgusting system that was never meant to serve us in the first place. So maybe this will be the beginning of some rumblings, what's happening in Baltimore right now, what happened in Ferguson, and what's going to keep on happening. Hopefully this will be the rumblings of a fucking revolution.
We need you. We need all of us.
Have anything to say?
She brought tears to my eyes. Thank you again.
Hi, I'm
So
Lily.
scared.
When Kendra James was shot, I was living on Michigan Street. I was pregnant with my daughter, who was present at May Day. My daughter had to leave because she witnessed police officers batoning people in the face, and we left minutes before people were pepper sprayed and thrown flash bombs at, and it was peaceful. It was peaceful. The day Kendra died, I was very pregnant. I was very pregnant. And I heard the shot, and I left my son, who's now 18, at the house, and I threw on some shoes and I ran down the street, and I watched that woman's body be dragged away. And then everything came out about what happened, and I felt sick. I felt sick. And I'm shocked right now of how many false facts were involved with that. When that whole thing happened, she was driving. She was driving. She had the keys in the ignition. The officer was trying to remove the keys from the ignition and reaching over her. And to find that she was in the passenger seat, that she wasn't even driving. All those lies that went on for over a decade. My daughter is 10 and a half. I was pregnant. Over a decade of lies being perpetuated. Now that brings me to this. We could talk about policy change all we fucking want. We could talk about policy change until we are fucking blue in the face. But what really needs to happen, and the real problem in our country right now, is historic racism. I am a granddaughter of a freed slave. Does that spell anything to anyone right now? Thank you very much. My fucking grandfather was a freed slave. That is yesterday, people. Yesterday. And now look at us today. And this is all we got here for our neighbor dying. Our neighbor. This all we got here today? I went and scooped my son out of high school to be here. Where is everybody? Tell your friends, tell your white friends who felt it was more important to go get fucking drunk today. Tell them.
Yes.
I don't know what else to say up there.
Come on, you guys. You heard
My name
it.
is Nobody, and I like to just piggyback on what she said. Just as important as it is for your white friends to be here today, I like to hold my own community accountable, because we aren't here either. We aren't being represented. I'm a native Oregonian, native to Northeast Portland. When Kendra James died, I was in the streets of Northeast Portland, worrying about what the police might do to me. Kendra James was not the first person that I've seen die at the hands of the police in Portland. I've had friends killed and it be called suicide. I've had friends killed because they said they ran. I've had friends killed because they said they had a gun that they never had. Right here in Portland. And I just have to ask the question, when do we say enough is enough? When do we say that the police aren't our authority, but they work for us? Your title is public servant, damn it. When you gonna serve somebody? We're tired. Huh? We've seen enough. We've been through enough. Teresa got maced the other day. Huh? How many times we gonna let them beat up on our women and while we watch because they have on a blue badge or a blue suit and a badge? They are men just like us. They have no more authority than the authority that we give them. It's time for us to stand up as Americans and say no more. And you might get hurt. You hear me? It might hurt a little bit. You might get pepper sprayed. But that might be what it takes for them to understand, man, we're not playing with you guys no more. I promise you this, I'll never stand by and allow one of my brothers to be beat by the police. One of my sisters to be beat by the police. I watch these videos, police got people handcuffed, choking them on the ground, while people are videotaping this. Where have we come as a society when it's more important to videotape something than to act on it? I say we have lost our manliness. I say the men in our society aren't men. We're docile little things. But we have to stand up as men and women and Americans more than any of that. This is the place where justice is supposed to ring free. Where is the justice? What do we stand for? What do we live for? And what will we die for?
So, we wanted to go ahead and get some more voices from our community on the record, just to go ahead and let Dr. Cornel West and all those guys that got the big resources on a national scale that's trying to fight this system within our communities, doing what they can. Because we don't have a lot of resources. We don't even got bodies coming to the